Good morning, it's Tuesday the 2nd of May. I'm Tom Elliott and this is my market report. Well, the Australian stock market is down quite sharply this morning, off about 1.1% at 4,774 points as I speak. Now, last night in the US, stocks initially rose on the news that Osama bin Laden had been killed by US Special Forces. However, later on in the day, stocks were sold off and eventually the Dow Jones index was down 3 or 4 points on the close. The reality is that as much of a victory this is for US foreign policy and for the US military, the reality is it doesn't make much difference to US share prices, and nor should it. The US dollar also rallied briefly. In A dollar terms, the A dollar hit $1.10 yesterday morning. Right now it's $1.09.2, so the US dollar up about 0.7 of 1%. Having said that, the A dollar, of course, is near record all-time highs, at least since the currency was floated in the early 1980s. As we speak today, the Reserve Bank is meeting at 2:30 p.m. They'll announce their decision on official interest rates. My prediction is at the moment they'll leave rates on hold at 4.75%. However, the inflation data that was out just over a week ago showed that in the March quarter, prices rose faster than what the Reserve Bank would like. Now, a lot of this was due to seasonal issues like high fruit and veg prices, in particular banana prices, which were obviously pushed up by the devastating impact of Cyclone Yazzie several months ago. So, of course, you would expect these impacts to be reversed in the coming months. Still, fuel prices were a major part of the increase, and well, who knows what's going to happen in the Middle East now that Osama bin Laden is dead. Things could get better, or they could get a whole lot worse. The same goes for what's happening in Libya. The gold price hit a record high overnight at $1,557 an ounce. It's drifted back to about $1,540 this morning. Of course, that is near an all-time high for gold, and really reflects many people saying that the US dollar is, well, to put it bluntly, not worth the paper it's printed on anymore, simply because they keep printing so many of them. In June, I think there'll be a very interesting time for the US currency, because the quantitative easing process, QE2 as it's called, there've been two of them thus far, will come to an end. And Ben Bernanke has indicated, that is the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, that there won't be a further QE process beyond June. This means if they stop printing US dollars, hopefully the value of the US dollar will go up, and as a result, the Australian dollar and many other currencies can go down. Now, I'm one of those people who thinks the Australian dollar will turn about fairly soon for this particular reason. We've got to remember that as much as consumers, we like a high dollar. We can buy things cheaply overseas, we can travel cheaply overseas. The fact is, it's not very good for many Australian businesses, in particular exporters, so farmers, miners and so forth, and of course companies that have significant operations overseas. For instance, medical companies like Cochlear and ResMed are struggling a bit at the moment. In the corporate world, Foster shareholders last week approved a demerger, a historic demerger of the company's beer and wine businesses. In another week or so, Treasury Wines will trade as a separate security from Foster's beer. Many people think this could attract takeover bids for either or both of those companies. We'll have to see. Of course, the wine business isn't helped by the strong Australian dollar. They have markets in the UK and in the US, and of course their costs are in $8. So that's a bit of a double whammy for groups like Treasury Wines, soon to be demerged from Foster's. West Australian newspapers no longer exist. Well, it does exist. It's now called 7 West Media. It reflects the fact that it owns Channel 7 on one hand and the West Australian newspaper on the other hand. The stock's been pretty weak lately. Some people think they might have overpaid for the AFL rights at almost $1.25 billion over the next 5 years. Important to remember, though, however, that Foxtel picks up around about half that price tag. Telstra also picks up a big chunk for the online rights. I believe actually that Channel 7 hasn't paid much more for its free-to-air television rights than it did 5 years ago. Of course, the big issue is trying to make money out of the AFL rights, and we don't know how they're going to do that over the next few years. So at the moment, the Australian share market simply doesn't want to go up. The strong Australian dollar is largely to blame. Therefore, look to the currency markets to see what stock prices will do next.